Welcome to 7 Days of Land Flipping Part 3. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to get the list of motivated sellers, or actually non-wanting sellers, for your land that you can pick up for 10 to 50 cents on the dollar. Now, if you haven't watched part 1 or 2, make sure you click right over here on the link. You go back to session number 1, and then from there go to 2 and 3, because this is all sequenced over 7 days. I've shared with you exactly how to flip land from anywhere in the United States and make 5-figure and even 6-figure profits on your land flips. On day 2, we just talked about how to select an area. So I assume that if you've gone through that, you now have a good idea of what area in the country you should pick. Wonderful. So the next thing you want to do now is you need to get a list of leads. You need to pull some data. Now there's a few ways you can do that. The first way you can do that is you can go to the actual county offices. You can call them what's called the county assessor, or in Texas it's called the appraiser's office or appraisal district. And actually from there, you can actually purchase an entire copy of the database of that entire county with all the land on it, and if you want to, even with all the houses and so on it. The nice part about this, that in the United States, all this data is what's called public record. So you have the right to see that data. You can access that data. You can log on online. You can look up different owners. You can see how much they paid for the property, when they bought the property, what their name is, where they live, where the property is. You can get aerial pictures to the property. You can get assessed values to the property. You can even get legal descriptions to the property. You can see almost absolutely everything about that property. That is actually amazingly cool and should not be taken for granted, because this is completely different outside of the United States. Almost every country out there, outside of the United States, has strict privacy rules, which mean that you cannot find out anything about a property. Anything I just told you is absolutely secret, but in the United States, it is publicly available. As a result, this method works from anywhere in the world in the United States. That's why it works so well in the United States. First of all, the United States is huge. Secondly, people live far away from their properties and they're not going to bother drive 2,000 miles to go see their property. Third, life and circumstances changes and people are willing to let these properties go for pennies on the dollar. But fourth, and most importantly, you can find them. You can actually get the information about them. And that's so amazing about the United States. So now that we know that, you can get that list from the county. You can also go to what's called a data service. There's lots of data services out there. DataTree is the one we work in our CRM. We have a full-blown CRM that is integrated, that you can just go in and pull the data in and then integrate from there right into a mailing house and then send out the letters right from there. And then once the people call back, you can enter them in there, or you can have a call center enter it right into it. And then once it's in there, you can literally, the tool helps you do comp analysis and find the value of the properties. It helps you make offers. It helps you list the properties. It has its own website. It's like A to Z, everything included in that software that makes land flipping really, really easy. The key is we use data services. So DataTree is integrated into our software. There's other services like CoreLogic, you name it. There's probably 100 of them out there that you can pull data from. And typically that works either in one of two ways. Either you pay a monthly fee and then you have access to a certain amount of records that you can just download, or you simply pay by the record. You pay 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10 cents per record, and then you download 1,000 records. Guess what? You pay, I don't know, $80 for it, and then you send letters out with that. You send direct mail out. We like to use the data services, because with the data service, you can pull just as many records as you want to for this in the mailing right now, and you don't have to pull an entire database from a county with 50,000 records. Makes sense, saves you money. It's all about efficiency, it's all about saving money. So with that said, now you do this, you get those lists, and then what you do is you send them a letter. Now, we typically use what we call a neutral letter. Now the neutral letter, what the neutral letter basically says, it's a variation of, it says, hey, I know you own this property in XYZ County. I'm willing to buy this property cash. If it's a burden for you, let me take the burden off your shoulders, and a few other things in that letter. And that letter is an absolute crucial letter, because this letter is a letter that we have actually tested up the wazoo. What I mean by that is basically, you know, there's this concept called split testing. In split testing, what you do is you take, in this case, a letter, and then you change one sentence on that letter, and you send, let's say you grab a list with 2,000 people, and you send 1,000 people the letter as is, and 1,000 people you send the letter with one change in it. And then you measure response rates. And then you see if the first letter gotten you a 3% response rate and the second variation of the letter gotten you a 4% response rate, then obviously the second letter, the variation letter, did better than the first one. So what you do is you throw away the original one, and now this new one with a variation becomes your standard. And then you do the same thing again. You create another variation. And we have done dozens of variations like that until we got to a letter that we just could not beat anymore. And that letter is the letter that now our students and us are sending out. So with that letter, you're now sending it out to the owners and basically telling them, hey, I want to buy your property, call me. And in this moment, they call you back, and when you talk to them a little bit, they give you a little bit of information, or you can also outsource that to a call center or a voicemail, and they leave a voicemail or they talk to the call center, and then they leave the details on the property that they have. Now, the next step after that is now we need to establish the value of that property, and we need to make offers. And that's going to be coming in day 4 of our 7 days of land flipping. All right, how do you get that video? Just click right here. It's right there. All you need to do is click and keep watching. See you there.